So thank you very much. My responsibility has to do with services to public, and I will apply the law, and it is my responsibility to see that that happens.
Welcome to OGGO. The floor is yours for 6 minutes, please, sir.
Thank you very much, Chair, and I want to thank the President of the Treasury Board for being with us today. It's an important discussion, as I think Canadians across our country are having to deal with the double crisis of affordability. They themselves are having a tough time trying to balance their own books, whether it's rent, food, or trying to just make sure that they have enough money to make it through difficult times. They're finding challenges in trying to tighten their belts. Meanwhile, they see here in Ottawa a very different story, one that says companies were able to access our public service, bid on contracts that were continuous for almost since 2008, this kind of trajectory of the public service continuing to lose funding, continuing to lose full-time employment, and continuing to lose resources from our federal government as early as 2008. That trajectory creates a kind of problem that the Auditor General outlined in her report. And so my first question to you, Madam Minister, is have you read the Auditor General's recent report on ArriveCan?
Yes.
And in that report, it suggests that given the urgency, quote, given the urgency created by the pandemic, the Treasury Board of Canada Secretariat encouraged government organizations to focus on results while demonstrating due diligence and controls on expenditures. To support this direction, the Secretariat invoked exceptions so that certain procurements were not subject to the provisions of the trade agreements and the government contracts regulations, and allowed for the consideration of non-competitive approaches to address urgent needs. This, I think, is evidenced as a really important piece that the Auditor General focuses on in her report in direct relation to the fact that the public service is losing funding, and then the vulnerability to the government in terms of outsourced contracts increases. And so there's a direct relationship between how you fund the public service and how vulnerable the government is to fraudulent private outsourced contracts. It's clear in the CBSA instance, for example, they were unable to secure the IT technology here in Canada or within the public service. So they were forced to actually outsource a really critical and important piece of application of an app to these bidders, these contractors that had layers and layers and layers and layers of subcontracts that we're still discovering the mess of today. This extreme loss of funding, this extreme ineffective use of money was very clear in her report. Do you agree with me that there is a direct relationship between not properly funding our public service and creating vulnerabilities in trying to procure the kind of technology or the kind of skills that are actually needed by a government? Do you see the relationship there?
Well, as you know, much of our public service, vast majority of public servants are unionized, and so we work very closely with the unions in order to ensure that the public service employees have the supports they need. A vast majority are under collective agreement that have been renegotiated, and we will continue to work with the unions to make sure the public servants have what they need going forward.
Well, why didn't you consult the unions then in proposition to your cuts? They were promised. The president of the Public Service Alliance of Canada was promised that the government would meet with them in relation to any cuts that would affect full-time employment. They've told me that they have not been met with or consulted with. They've been told and demanded.
We are not...
When was the last time you met with the president of PSAC?
Actually, just last month.
And did you address the cuts?
We spoke about a number of items. And
did you speak about the cuts,
we
though?
are in touch on a regular basis, including I heard from him today.
Did you address the cuts?
We've addressed a number of items, and I won't be disclosing the contents of our private conversation in this meeting.
So it sounds like you don't want to answer the fact that...
Not at all.
No, it's my time. Please, I haven't even answered my question yet. How could you know what I'm asking?
Go ahead.
I would like you to listen because it's important, Ms. Anand.
Yeah, go ahead.
I really don't feel you're taking this seriously.
I am.
I don't think so.
I am.
Because you're not actually trying to address the issues that are facing our public service. I asked you a clear question. Did you address the cuts with the Public Service Alliance of Canada, something that was publicly promised at the time of a national strike?
I will ask the head of OGGO here to address that question, as she is
Sure.
in touch with the unions on
Any
a daily
information would be very helpful.
On a daily basis. Or Francis Trudel. Go ahead, Francis.
So thank you for the questions. The engagements with unions is certainly part of the collective bargaining process, but it is an ongoing exchange that we have with our unions partners at multiple governance forums, including what we call the NJC process, where all the
Have you ever spoken about the impact to our public service by way of these cuts? Canadians know that when you cut the public service, you're going to be cutting services to Canadians. This isn't something that should be secret. This isn't something that, this is public dollar. This isn't personal money here. This is public money to public services that Canadians pay taxes for, and they deserve to know that their taxes are being spent effectively and that the minister responsible for the Treasury Board takes seriously cuts to our services in Canada.
The PBO officer actually confirmed that we are not reducing services to Canadians materially with our refocused government spending initiative. We are saving money that can be redirected towards our government's priorities in things like outsourcing and executive travel. The intention is not to reduce the size of the public service, and the intention is not to cut services to Canadians.
Thank you very
So
much.
we know-
Sure. Sorry, that is
Thank
our
you, Chair.
time. Colleagues, we are going to suspend. Hopefully, like last time, we can all agree to vote, and as soon as we've all voted, we'll come right back. So we'll give everyone about 30 seconds notice before we restart. We are suspended. And we will start with Mrs. Kusi for 4 minutes, please.
Thank you very much. Minister, I'm going to go back to this, what is essentially a second announcement today, since the first announcement of the managerial guidelines seemed to have proven ineffective in the first 6 months. And frankly, I don't think more guidelines are what are required. Frankly, it is the ensuring that public servants are complying with them. I think that's far more important than creating new levels of bureaucracy, new levels of red tape. Now, to go back to the $5 million first wave that was announced today in the Globe and Mail by Bill Curry, the government has identified 635 IT middlemen that do no work. In fact, as we know, the PBO has launched an entire investigation on this. How much has your government paid to IT middlemen?
So my role, and you referenced the announcement at lunch, the role of the Treasury Board President is to ensure that we have the rules and the policies and the guidelines in place. And the Auditor General stated that our rules were sufficient, and I'm taking this opportunity to even enhance them. We know that there's an RCMP investigation relating to CBSA, and we will look to follow those recommendations, but I'm taking this proactive measure of updating the guidelines in advance. Regarding your question, that information has already been provided to the committee, and I look forward to
How much is it? What's the number,
continuing
Minister?
to ensure that we provide whatever information in addition you need. I will ask Annie to provide any further information relating to that. In terms of the one supplier, however, I can confirm 103 contracts with GC Strategies from 2011 to 2024.
We have, of course, GC Strategies and Dalian, which, of course, I'm sure, given your previous role